Disclaimers. Thanks for tuning in. We got a lot of great content for you today, but before we get started, be sure to go by our social media sites. Give us a like, share, subscribe so that you can keep up with what we're doing and when we're airing these episodes. Let's get to it. Hey, Chris, how are you today, buddy?
Man, I'm great. How about you?
Now, I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be recording. Glad that we have a lot of stuff happening in the MLB that we're going to go over today. Uh, Share with everybody some of the topics we're going to be covering.
Yeah, for sure. What is BLA? We're gonna be talking about Florida new bill affecting baseball. We're gonna be talking about the Cup stand. Will the Cup stand Stroman? We're also gonna be talking about MLB cutting spending, and we also want to cover whether the A's are gonna be selling or not.
Yeah, that's a hot topic after last week. Just to let you guys know too, today is going to be kind of a shorter stream. We typically stream on Fridays at 2:30. Some stuff happened, life happens. We were unable to do it, so here we are Saturday at 9:17, getting to it. So it is going to be a little bit shorter with with a few less things. But what Chris went over with is what we're going to be covering tonight. So without further ado, which one do you want to jump into first, Chris?
Let's talk about what is BLA because a lot of people don't know what it is.
Yeah, I didn't either. So that I kind of spearheaded that topic. So BLA is Big League Advantage. Basically, they consider themselves as an investment firm, uh, typically, usually in baseball players, but it seems like they're moving toward football players and all their sports now, especially since the NIL thing in college went down. Now they can start paying college players. So I think that opened up a whole big door for them. Either way, that's neither here nor there. We're talking about baseball players. Um, they're basically an investment firm. I'm not. Usually we would do a spot on, spot off for this. I'm going to go ahead and tell you before we jump into it. I'm pretty spot off on it. Uh, they have all these special stat guys. They call them stat scientists and stat engineers that do workups on all these players when they're like in the minor leagues or in college or whatever, and they go and they offer them a chunk of money, whatever it may be, for in exchange for an equity stake essentially in their professional career. So they might give them $1 million up front, and they'll say, "Well, we want 10% of your earnings, uh, career earnings. That is, it's not like there's no specified time. It's like they've taken a piece of equity out of your career essentially." The only hang up on this, excuse me, if they get hurt or they don't pan out and they don't perform or whatever, they don't have to pay the money back. They're on the hook for none of the money. Uh, they get it. They get a 10% equity stake or whatever the percentage is, and if something happens, then they just lost out on that. It's kind of like buying a stock, if you will. But there's a couple big name guys that do it. The one that got me on it and started researching was Ellie. They're taking 10% from Ellie. But Jazz Chisholm and Tatis, just to name a few, but they got a whole list of people. So I'm spot off on that all day. Not don't agree with it. What do you think, Chris?
Um, I'm right there with you. I'm a spot off with it too. I don't agree with it. My take on it is that the players are basically a cash cow. There's no there's no really incentive for players other than just getting money up front. Now, my only issue with it is that yes, a lot of players they hardly get paid anything, you
Right.
know.
So
But
sorry to cut you off, but just to be clear here, they're contacting these guys like when they're getting drafted in rookie ball in single A when they're making nothing and they're offering them vast amount of money. Just so everyone's clear how it's kind of working and the timetable they're progressing at.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're
So
offering
they
them a lot of money at a very vulnerable stage in their career. So go ahead.
yeah, so in a way it's like taking advantage of them because, these people, these data scientists, they can go out into, you know, they could have gone out into Ellie de la Cruz back when he was in the DR and, you know, say, hey, put in this number based on what you're doing so far, and this is what we got on projection now. If we give you this amount of money, then this is the value that we think you could have, and then because they see a potential in them. So
Right.
basically, like I said earlier, for lack of a better term, they're like cash cow. That's kind of how I see it, because as long as the player keeps making money and getting big contract, they're still going to be paying out. So a player
Right.
can get paid $500,000. That player is going to pay way more than $500,000 throughout his baseball career if
Right.
that player pans out to be a really good player. So,
Yeah.
so for
And
example, Fernando Tatis, you know, he got paid. He got $340 million contract from the Padres. Well, guess what? Now he's gonna have to pay 10% of that money. So you're gonna have to cut off a big,
oh, well, yeah, and that's just one of the fees. You start looking at all his fees. He's got agent fees. He's
right,
probably got union fees. He's got
right,
taxes. So he got a lot cut off. I mean, don't get me wrong, the man still got a lot of money.
right. But
But
you're talking. The guy is playing for San Diego, so that's California. That's probably one of the highest, you know,
taxes, yeah,
yeah, that pay for
yeah,
taxes. So you put, let's just say, I don't know, 30%. Probably is a lot more than that, but let's just say
yeah,
30% on that, plus another 10% for BLA, plus another 10% for agent. Now you're probably talking about 50% right off the bat.
yeah, yeah,
You see what
yeah.
I'm
So
saying?
it's a lot. I definitely think it's predatory is probably the word that you would use.
Yes. Yes.
Um, because it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't weren't catching these guys when they weren't making shit when they were living on couches and stuff. And I think there's some change coming in that with minor leagues. They're trying to get like minimums and trying to get them more money. And it may be because of some of these guys are going with BLA. That may have gave them an initial push. But yeah, I mean they're pitching it as like an investment firm. You go to their website, they have all their athletes listed on there. I mean, they got everybody, but they have this big bio about how they're saying they don't take any risk, and to an extent that is true. But on the other hand, they also have the best data scientists in the world, is what they're saying. So how could they be wrong? The only other thing that they could be wrong on is something like an injury. But yeah, if they get hurt or fizzle out, uh, the players
And
owe them nothing.
right, and I want to add something else too. That the thing about it is, at the end of the day, it's based on prediction. It's
Right.
not based on pure fact. So a data scientist can come up to you and say, "Hey, based on this number, we think you're gonna have a great future." So it's a prediction.
Yeah.
So
You know what you
that's
just
kind of
reminded me of?
what's that?
Moneyball with Billy Bean. When they took him first round, he didn't pan out. Then he went to Jonah Hill. It was like, would you have taken me first round? I would have taken you 10th. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's all about prediction. So they're not they're not losing any money by saying if you get injured or if it doesn't pan out, you don't owe us nothing. Obviously not, because the player's not going to be making anything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so the
But
only way
there
that they
is no
can
payback fee. If you sign a contract normally, you know what I'm saying? There could be like a payback fee.
right, there could be. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
good thing that there isn't. But the thing
Yeah.
is just that, like you said, it's predatory because the only way they can make money is the player making money.
Right.
And the they're not going to target your first rounder, second round pick, third rounder pick. They're not gonna target those players. They're gonna target the
Right.
players that are drafted in the 30th round and the you know 33rd round, like way almost to the bottom of the barrel, because those are the guys that are getting paid a lot less money. Same thing with international players. It's not going to target those high international prospects because they also get paid. They get paid whether it's two, three, four, $500,000. It's still a lot of money, especially
Yeah.
using that money outside of the U.S. So they're gonna target those players that are paying, that signed for, you know, like Artube, who signed for $10,000. They're gonna that's the player that they're gonna target because the players only got 10 grand. Now you gotta stretch those 10 grand for a season,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you have a family, well, now you gotta support your family.
I
So
can
those,
promise you for that, they're giving them more than 10 grand. I mean, these guys are breaking off. They got to be breaking off in the hundreds at least.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
some of them in the. I mean, I feel like for Ellie, with the career he's gonna have and how good he's been, I mean, if he took anything under $1 million, he's crazy.
But listen, the thing. So my thing is, yes, there's a lot about player that don't get paid enough, but in a way, it really humbles you to compete and try to get to the next level because what's over the wall, the hurdle, is
Yeah,
gonna be worth the grind.
yeah, I feel that.
You, you see?
Yeah,
So, like, I'm gonna give you a good example. I don't know if a lot of people has heard of it or not, but there's a catcher from Uganda that the guy has nothing.
yeah,
The guy,
I've seen the memes of him. Yeah,
yeah, the guy is working with a tire. He doesn't
yeah,
have anything. And to me, it keeps him humble and it keeps him working hard to get to the next
right.
step.
Yeah,
And a lot of Cuban player does that same thing too.
yeah.
They work hard trying to get
Well,
him to the next.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Anybody playing at the level that the pros are playing at are they work hard. They're working hard, and if they want to stay there, they will work. They will continue to work hard. That's,
Right.
I mean,
And
especially
once,
baseball. Like football is a little different, but like if you start slumping for an extended amount of time in baseball, they'll out of the lineup you go.
right, right. And not saying that they don't, but my point is that now if you make it to the big league, you're making big league money. Not saying, well, at least minimum wage, which
Yeah,
minimum wage they fought for it this this past year when they were doing the whole union thing and the
yeah,
lockdown, and they agreed upon 700 some $1,000 minimum wage, which is a lot of money. It's not, you know.
yeah,
So that's kind of what I'm getting at. If you sign for 30, 40 grand, just work. I mean, not it's a lot easier said than done, but
yeah,
work hard. And if you get to the next step, the next level, you're going to be compensated for it. So
yeah.
this kind of predatory deals are, I feel like it's a loss for a player. I mean, they get
Right.
money up front. I get it. They need it. It's kind of, I wouldn't say kind of like a loan because he's not really loaning anything out.
No, no, they're literally buying the equity of your
Right.
professional career. They'll
Yes.
give you X amount of dollars for 10% of your career earnings, or 10% of your professional career,
Yeah.
essentially. So
It, it's also like this. So to give another example of it, pretty sure by now people get the point of it. But um, so another example of it is how record label make deals uh with singers.
right,
A lot of
yeah,
them get screwed over.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is doing, Taylor Swift, all that stuff she did before, she didn't own it, and she signed into a deal when she was young. She had to re-record everything. Um, but I agree with you. Yeah. Um, I think we're on the same page. It's a no go in my book. I'm spot off. I
Yeah.
think it's terrible. I think they're, you know, I think they're kind of taking advantage of the guys. I understand they're in a tight spot, but um, I'm spot off. You're spot off. So enough of the BLA talk. But if you didn't know, anyone listening out there, if you didn't know what BLA, it's Big League Advantage. Go look it up. Again, go look up their athletes. If you just go to bigleagueadvantage.com, they have all pictures of their athletes. They have football players, hockey, basketball, etc. They're moving in all of it. Anyways, so what's next on the list, Chris? What we got?
Um, yeah, we also want to talk about Florida new bill since we're talking about the whole spending money and everything.
You saying Florida's got some weird legislation going on?
Yes.
All right.
So,
I don't know about this one. You're gonna have to enlighten me, buddy.
of course, so Florida new legislation. So Governor Ron DeSantis, he signed a bill that lets professional baseball player get paid less than minimum wage in Florida. That is.
Okay, is that doesn't seem right.
No, no, not at all. So in 2018, the Congress amended federal law that minor league minimum was set at $290 a week, basically the equivalent of 527 an hour, and that's without overtime eligibility. So, and the federal minimum wage is 725. And going to the spot on and spot off, I'm definitely spot off on this.
Oh yeah, all day. I'm spot off on it too. I have no idea. I'm surprised the MLB hasn't stepped in, or that's the other thing. Who know the MLB has its policies, and
Yeah,
they. I don't know if you knew this, but they govern those minor league teams uh, very seriously too, just like the big leaguers. Um, so I don't. It's kind of a weird bill. So
it is. It is.
two hundred ninety a week.
So I know the Florida. So I know Florida in 2020. Florida in 2020 they backed a constitutional amendment into the bill that will increase the minimum wage to $1 a year until it reach $15 an hour or $15 minimum wage. And that is so every year is gonna increase $1 until 2026. That's when you reach $15 minimum.
Mm,
And with inflation and everything going on, I mean, it's just gonna be like make it the same. It's just not gonna go anywhere. So
yeah.
going with the whole, back to our last subject and this subject, it call all kind of,
Well, now I'm
go hand.
spot on for BLA. Now I understand why they take it. I'm just kidding. No.
They kind of
Uh,
go hand in hand because they're also there's also a unfair pay. That's why the whole union and the whole lockdown. That's what this was all about. Player not
right.
getting
Yeah.
enough money to get paid, especially those minor league players, because like we were
Hmm.
talking about, they get paid
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
almost nothing. They're players
Yeah.
that
They
sign
don't.
for $1,000.
I mean, these guys are sleeping in cars and couches and shit. And in the
Yeah,
off season, they're working a full time job while still
yeah,
being staying in shape and getting better, so that they
yeah.
can make it to the pros or make it to the next
Right.
level.
And for those people that don't know, baseball players only get paid while in season. So during the off season, they don't get paid. So they'll have to get a second job. And like you said, still trying to maintain shape, trying to stay, within baseball condition and ready
Right.
for the next season. And that is
Right.
if they don't sign to go play outside the U.S., like in a Mexican League or Dominican
Yeah.
League during the winter. So there's this factor that comes in hand. So I'm definitely I'm definitely spot off on this bill.
Yeah, me too. Uh, I don't I don't like it. Uh, in fact, we'll write this down. We'll come back to this in a few months on another episode, because I believe the MLB will have something to say about it. They'll probably won't allow it, even though the state allows it. I guarantee you they'll have a policy in place, or they may already have one, that's going to set a minimum wage, especially with that like that collection or that bargaining, the CBA. I'm sure there's a minimum in there. So, and in that case, it wouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The
Right.
law legislate it would allow them to do it, but then they would be in violation of the CBA, and
Right.
then we would go on strike. So we'll see.
Which is all unionized.
Right. So we'll revisit that in a couple months and see where we're at. See if there's any more info that come up on that. For sure. On to after that, what do we got next?
Yeah. So what I want to know what's your take on this. Are you either spot on or spot off on whether or not Marcus Stroman will finish his career with the Cubs or not?
Are you asking me what I want to see or what I actually think will happen?
What you will think will happen? Will the Cubs stand
No,
Stroman?
no, he don't have much time there. He's
You
got
don't think so?
maybe they might deal him before All-Star break. He's pitching hot. If they're sellers, I don't know. If they're sellers at the trade deadline, he may go. What do you think about that?
That's a good take on it.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I mean, he's pitching great. They don't want him. Maybe there's a lot of things that you don't know about. You don't know. I know he wants to be there, but he may not be a good clubhouse personality. He may be beefing with management. He may be beefing with the owner. He may have a relationship with the owner's daughter. You know, you don't know. I mean, there's things behind the curtain that that we can't see. He wants to be there, but he may have pissed the wrong person off, is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes that's all that matters. So to answer your question is, I don't think so.
Well, he is a very interesting guy. Only reason why is because his personality. And by the way, I'm a spot off as well. I don't think he's gonna stay with the Cubs.
No.
It doesn't seem like the Cubs has shown any interest in standing a contract with him.
Right.
He's gonna be a free agent in 2020 after the 2024 season, I believe. And like you say, he's doing pretty good right now. And the Cubs are in
Yeah.
no way, shape, or form on getting in the playoff. I
No.
mean, they're second to last in standing as we speak, and they're
Yeah.
dealing with injured player. Cody Bellinger signed for 1 year deal, and he's hurt. He's doing pretty good. He's hurt, and I think if he keeps doing good, he might be dealt too. So they might just get into a rebuild mode. I mean, they kind of had a weird season
They
because
spent too much on Dansby.
right, right, that and there was some signing that didn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're gonna stand him only because interesting enough, I think they're ranked 12th in MLB in the salary cap.
Oh, okay.
So they're
Yeah.
also spending a lot of money. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at. So
I'm with
they
you.
might they might try to cut down on that and deal him
Mm.
and kind
Oh,
of do a restart.
if they don't get in the race, uh, I'm think he's gone at deadline. Like I said, I think they'll deal him for some prospects or something, to a team like Atlanta. Not I'm not saying Atlanta, but Atlanta has some broken pieces in the bullpen or in the rotation that they need to firm up. We got our fifth spot guy. We need to find a guy that fill that spot. But there's other teams out there. The Dodgers probably need some starters. The Dodgers need a bullpen. But what I'm getting at, there's teams out there that will need him to shore up their bullpen. I mean, shore up their starting rotation for playoff season.
Yes, yes,
And so
and
he'll be a piece
and
if
he
they're
can
not
definitely
in
be
contention.
and he can definitely be a huge help to uh, a contender team.
Oh,
Because he
if you don't think by the deadline, if the Cubs, uh, if they aren't in contention, I guarantee you that GM's, I don't even know who it is, but I guarantee his phone's gonna be ringing off the hook
oh yeah,
after seeing all this drama. Stroman wanting to stay and they're not wanting him. I guarantee you, me. Hey buddy, how about Stroman? Hey buddy, how about Stroman?
and I tell you what I'll tell you one team that I think he can fit in, and that will be Baltimore with the Orioles.
I'd uh I'd like to see Baltimore win it. Honestly, if we're speaking honestly here.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons that I'm saying because right now the Baltimore they rank second. They're second in the standing, so they're definitely in the race in the playoffs. So they definitely could use some pitching help.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so we're both spot on for him going. What we got next on the list, buddy?
Yeah. We also want to cover on MLB, MLB cutting the spending.
Oh
So
yeah.
so with this, MLB is considering cutting the spending for clubs. It seems like this came out of a meeting. So Ron Manfred and the club owner, uh, it seems like they had a meeting, and that's kind of one of the things that they talked about is the spending on technology and non-player areas. So they basically trying to cap all that. Um, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to be honest with you, because they already had talks with having a salary cap. Well, now they're definitely talking about cutting salary for everything, for um for personnel, for
Mhm.
technology, for several
All
different
right.
things.
So basically, what you're saying is they're gonna put a spending cap on the front offices.
Yes,
Okay. All
and
right.
that's
In layman
basically
terms, that's what we're
yeah,
talking about.
yep.
How much you can
So
spend on support personnel, like those stat people we were talking about with BLA, right?
yep,
How big of a team of statisticians or whatever you want to call them they can have, how much technology you can have to break down players' mechanics, shit like stuff like that, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
and
yeah, long story short, that's what they're doing.
I'm pretty sure this comes about how a lot of teams are. I think in a way they're mad at the fact that the owners like the Padres and the Mets are they're just spending and spending and spending, which
Yeah,
it's in my opinion is their money. They can spending however they want it. They can if they want to give Judge or Otani 500 million, go ahead. That's their money. So
yeah,
I don't think necessarily they should be capping. And I think the cap also allows for, in my opinion, it allows for team not to it allows the team not to have the best of the best or compete in areas. So like with the technology evolves every year. If you got a cap, you can only do so much. Personnel. you can only have so many people. Now, if you got a cap also, then you can only pay a certain amount of money to the people working in the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem would be like the advantage like the Yankees would have over every other team, basically, minus the Red Sox and the Dodgers. I mean, they
Right.
could pay whoever they wanted. um, I'm spot on with it. At the end of the day, you want to make it as competitive as possible, you know, and the fans want to see that. We're tired of seeing the Oakland A's not competing. These teams that never compete and they're never going to, um, because of leadership and management. A lot of the time, money doesn't buy wins, but it can sure put you in the tier to be winning. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day,
Yes.
Yankees are the
Yes.
most winning team in baseball. They've won the most. They've also probably always had the most money.
You know who's second behind them?
No. Who?
The A's.
Oakland A's?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you can
But
take
those are,
prehistoric data out of it. You know what I'm
yeah, those are,
saying?
I
You
was
have to
gonna
go to
say
the
that
museum to see all that shit.
there's a team that goes way back in the days.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying. At this
Yeah.
day and age in baseball, there's bottom dwellers,
Yeah. And
and they don't really care about competing.
they
And
don't.
so I think this is a easier way to get everybody locked into a certain range where everybody can compete.
Right. And here's the thing. If you're owner because you got money.
Yeah.
You're not an owner because you decided to become an owner with, you know, $100 million or whatever.
Right.
So if you're an owner, you're owner because you got money to spend money. You got to spend money to make money,
Right.
and that's kind of my take on it. Um, Look at San Diego. San Diego was for the longest. I think they were considered a low market team, but I tell you that completely made it 360 flip.
Right.
So
Well, Bali was handing out big TV rights deals, but you know, it, I'm all for anything trying to close in the gap because there is a big discrepancy between those low income teams versus like the Yankees, uh, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, teams like that. They have so much more. They always will because they have so much more money. But uh, if you can get them back close, and you're doing all right, they kind of did that. A good example of that is NASCAR, right? So NASCAR went to what they call, and I'm not going to get like crazy off into it, but anyways, they just come out with what they call the next gen car, and basically, they build this car. Everybody's driving the same identical car, like
yeah,
this. You can only get like parts from NASCAR. All the suspension is the same. The frames are the same. Everything is exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the motor because you got different manufacturers and the driver. Well, what
right,
that happened was now you had drivers that were always back in the like always finishing in the rear. Hell, now they're
yeah,
top 10 drivers and they're winning races. They were never bad drivers. They just didn't have really good equipment. These other teams had really fast cars and really good equipment. You put like a medium, okay driver in that car, he'll beat a good driver in a bad car. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So they did the same thing, and now those people that used to underperform, now they're performing where they should be, and the people that were getting helped out by really good equipment and really good, like essentially having more money, they aren't being helped out by that anymore. Now they're showing where they really stand between everybody.
right. Because
So, and that's kind of if MLB's trying to do that, then I'm okay with it.
but
So,
yeah, well, yeah, and then we're gonna move on to our
it's the
last
final
subject.
topic. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is the big one. This is
So
the big one.
Will the A sell?
Sell the team. Sell the team. Um. So I'm 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 mixed on this one. Spot on. Sell the team. Spot off. Move from Oakland. I do think Fisher needs to sell it. I think there's plenty of fans in Oakland. Um, Oakland tried to make a deal with them and tried to make that stadium happen. It didn't because the A's wanted way too much out of it. I mean, if you look at what they were trying to get Oakland to build them, it was some masterpiece right on the river by the port. I mean, it was crazy, and it was like some ungodly amount of money. And like they wouldn't like compromise. They were basically like build that or we're out. And Oakland was like, we're not. They did some things. They did studies. They were on board, but they weren't on board for the amount of money they wanted. So they tried, but like the A's were just being unrealistic, unreasonable.
Right. And Rob Manfred had a take on this too. And I'm with you right there. I'm a spot on for them to sell the team. I think they'll
Yeah.
be better off selling the team than
If they would have sold the team, they would still be in Oakland. The reason they're
100%.
not in Oakland is because of Fisher, and because he
Yes.
didn't want it to happen.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
And Rob Manfred, obviously, yeah, I think he might be probably the most hated commissioner in American
history. Yeah,
sports so far. Yeah,
yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah,
Because the guy's just flat out is. I mean,
yeah. What did he say though?
you know. So one of his quote is he he's very team
Yeah.
biased. Let's just say, owner, for lack of a better
Okay.
term. So he's blaming that the market that so this is and I quote, markets that face the kind of financial difficulty often have to make hard decisions with respect to players when you have limited financial resources. So basically, they're blaming the A's or the team for having financial difficulties when they just don't want to spend the money. Fans are willing to buy and spend money in the team, but the team is not
Yeah,
willing to invest money into the stadium and into the players.
yeah. I agree with that. I mean, they're worried about attendance. But have you seen that dump that they have?
Yeah, the
I
reverse
mean,
boycott.
it's been there since '60. No, I'm talking about the Coliseum, their
Oh yeah, yeah,
stadium.
yeah, yeah. It's
It's
been
a
there for a long
dump,
time.
bro. It's been there since they've been in Oakland, been in there since '68, and
Listen, I
it's
heard that.
garbage.
Yeah, they had all kind of issues. They had like rats and possum and water
That
breaks and flood and
sewage, yeah, sewage backing up, all the things.
yeah,
But you can take it from recent teams. If you build the right stadium, people come. I mean, it is a little less now about the team and baseball, and more about the stadium and the social aspect. All these stadiums have social aspects attached on them so
yeah,
that they can accommodate somebody who's not a baseball fan.
right.
So
But
that
they can still go out and have a good time.
right, they can come to the baseball game, they sell a ticket. I don't know nothing about baseball. I don't care about it, but I'm going to go because I'm going to swim with my friend in left center in Arizona's pool. They're
Yeah,
not going to ever watch the baseball game. They're going to sit there and drink martinis all night. Woo, home run. Anyways, back to, you know, and so that's the goal, right? You can't do that
right.
in these older, uh, you can't do that in these older stadiums, especially Oakland's. It's straight garbage. But
It
if they
is.
would have built that new one, dude, they would have been selling out. I mean, they would have sold 30,000 tickets a game. There's no doubt about it. And the
Listen,
fans love them. The reverse boycott, they had 30,000 people show up. And at the end of the day, Fisher just don't want to be in Oakland anymore.
they don't. I mean, I can't think of his name, but the reliever that used to play with them a long time ago, Dave. His name is Dave. I just can't remember his last name.
Well, it's just an ex-player. What did he say?
Yeah, but he fought for a long time with the city
Yeah.
to try to get them to to make a deal to work something out. And it's not that the
Right.
city didn't try. The city did try. It's
Hmm.
just the owner didn't like the deal that the city offered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they also came up, and like I said, these Dave also came up with a great new stadium concept and everything. I mean, if you see look at the stadium concept that they were working on for Oakland, it probably would have been one of the best stadiums
Oh
in
yeah.
baseball.
It's right there on. It's right there on the bay or whatever.
Yeah,
It was like $6 billion.
yeah,
That was the problem.
w-
And Oakland tried to do it. They did the environmental studies. They did all the studies, but the problem is the owner wanted like them to basically cover the whole bill, and they did, and they
yeah.
wouldn't do it.
Right, that's not gonna fly because I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna come out of people tax money,
Right.
out of the city. So I think, listen, just sell the team. There's a big there's a big market for it. I
Yeah.
mean, just sell it to each company. Look at the Braves.
Yeah.
Who are the Braves owned by?
Liberty Media.
Yeah, Liberty Media is
Yeah.
worth 40.
If
They
people
make
don't know who
40
that
billion.
is, it's Sirius XM is essentially.
Yeah, so they make $40 billion a year in
Yeah.
revenue. So they make plenty of money, and that's
Yeah.
why if you go to a Braves game, their stadium is nice. It's like you said, very social friendly.
Yeah.
So
All the new ones are,
right,
but
and
Atlanta has something special. They do.
yeah, and I think they probably. I don't know personally. I don't know when was the last time that the Coliseum was updated, and it's a very old stadium.
It hasn't
So
because their lease is running up. So, but at the end of the day, they're gone. I mean, they're out of Oakland. It's too late now. Even if he
I think,
sold.
well, it still has to get approval. So they're still going to. So there's a whole process that goes into this.
Yeah, it's been approved by the legislation. It has to get approved by all the owners now.
Yes. So
Yeah,
if the owners disapprove of it, then
they're
basically they can either say yeah or nay on it.
they're not going to though.
I hope they all disagree on it and
We'll
force him to
see.
sell a team because I think they might be able to force him to sell a team. I'm not 100% sure. It's just kind of my thought on it.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm spot on for baseball and in Vegas though, just not the A's. That's all.
No, no, they just so Harper had a good opinion on it. He said that instead of the A's moving to Vegas, because he's not on board with it either.
Yeah,
We talked about it last time that it would be how interesting would it be if uh, the A's were to move to Vegas and then him
yeah,
playing for him. But for him, it doesn't seem like he wants to see them move. And
no,
I kind of agree with him. He said he'd rather see an expansion of the team and have a team uh, in Vegas,
yeah,
like make a team for Vegas instead of
right,
having a team to move there.
right. I agree with that. Oakland's just too rooted in Oakland. They've been there too long. But
Yeah, yeah.
I do want to see baseball on the Strip because that'll be exciting, and they'll have people there, and that'll be pretty exciting. But it doesn't matter. I mean, the A's are going there. I don't foresee the owners turning it down. So
I hope they do.
yeah, we'll see. We'll cover that up. We'll keep following that. I think they're supposed to vote like in the next week or so. So we'll have an update for you soon. Um, but with that pretty much wraps us up for the day. I thought it was a pretty good short little episode. Um, remember, thanks for tuning in. Go give us a like, a share, and a follow on all our social medias. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Soon we'll get TikTok. We don't have it yet, but we're working on it. Um,
Yes.
So, anyways, thanks for tuning in.
On to the
I
next one.
appreciate it. Yep. We'll see y'all next time.